Joining me on India First is Tuhin, Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP. Sanjay Jha has been with the Congress party as their spokesperson, now joins us as a political analyst, as do Anurag Naidu and Professor Sanjay Shastri. Sanjay Jha, let me begin by asking you, sir, as we watch these developments in Karnataka, all eyes on the High Command. Will it be Rahul Gandhi? Will it be Mallikarjun Kharge? Your reading of the situation right now, is there a fear that there could be a repeat of a Madhya Pradesh if, the generational shift does not take place?
Gaurav, good evening to you and to all the panelists on the program. For the Congress, I don't think it can risk that deja vu all over again. We saw the disaster in Rajasthan that could have been averted. And actually, if you look at the assembly results, the Congress could have probably won if they had a change of guard earlier. Punjab, as you rightly mentioned, was a political suicide, as was Chhattisgarh and to some extent even Madhya Pradesh. So there is a lessons to be learned. Now, what is worrying to some extent is that this is not new. Some people believe that it is because the Congress did not do well in Bihar that suddenly there is this whole angst coming out publicly. That's not the case. This has been brewing for a long time.
Yes.
And Gaurav, let me be very upfront here. The job of the political leadership is to ensure that you bring these two senior leaders together. They all have very strong credentials. Siddaramaiah is a tried and tested, successful chief minister. DK has done some extraordinary work for the Congress on ground. And in a great number of ways, that is the job of the Congress High Command, which is, I believe, should be Mr. Kharge, supported by whoever he trusts within the Congress Working Committee, and take a call. I can tell you that I don't think they can take a decision that can be implemented in 2 days, but they can definitely bring the leaders together and create a time-bound transfer of power.
Does Mr. Kharge have the bandwidth and the authority? Because he seems to indicate, and he seemed to indicate, High Command will take a decision. He is the High Command per se. He's the Congress president. Or is the real High Command Rahul Gandhi?
Well, I can tell you, I believe that Mr. Kharge will not take this decision independently, because even if there was any other Congress president, ideally these matters should go through the Congress Working Committee or a certain body within the Congress Working Committee, because it can't be unilateral. But one thing I can tell you about Karnataka, that I think the Congress will have to be bold, very pragmatic, and tell Mr. Siddaramaiah, you have already been the chief minister, not once, but I think a couple of times over. It's time to give DK a shot at that job. The next election is in 28. He got Lok Sabha in 29. DK did have a very crucial role in the last assembly victory, as did Mr. Siddaramaiah. I'm not going to deny that. But you got to invest in the future. And where DK Shivakumar, if he were to take over, you need to give him time. Maybe two and a half years to implement his policies and programs.
Very interesting point you raised, because some even seem to indicate that Mallikarjun Kharge could be an interested party. So should he be a decision maker or a part of that decision making body here? Anurag Naidu, how do you see Chief Minister Siddaramaiah saying that mandate given by the people of Karnataka is not for a moment, but a responsibility that lasts full 5 years, and the Congress party, including him, are walking the talk with compassion, consistency and courage?
I think, Gaurav, thank you for having me on the show. I think the war is out in public, Gaurav. I think, and it had a gradual move upwards. And I think now today, both the tweets, one tweet and the counter tweet, it throws up a very strong organizational message, Gaurav. And using the word bringing together, I've been hearing a lot of analysts saying bringing together. Bringing together happens when two leaders are not in talking terms. Bringing together happens when two leaders can't face each other. This is not the relation. This is not the classic Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot case. This is not the classic Jyotiraditya versus Kamal Nath case. This is the case where they both are in talking terms. They both know that they have duties to do, but they have a very specific demand. And one of the leaders is telling categorically that I was made a promise of 2.5 years. The whole question is down to the fact, and it is very easy for any high command or a leadership. This is an testing time. You have to say whether or not you promised this to one gentleman or not. I mean, it's been 2.5 years, and it takes you 2.5 years to say. And why does it always get so difficult, Gaurav, for this Congress party to call for a change of guards? And that is also an issue of credibility for the high command. And when you say high command, you say, I will follow whatever my high command decides until the high command takes a decision, and then you all unfollow the high command. And that is something that has been an example for the last almost 10, 15 years. And that has to change. today Congress party, I would say the biggest problem would be the credibility of the leadership.
Okay.
Is your leadership a vote getter or not? Are you having a sangathan? Are you having an organization that is respected by your leaders? I think these are the questions that you have to look back. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for the leadership, if you ask me, that this is the time where it can, and an entire national media lens is on the state. The entire media coverage is on the party and on the organization. If they take a bold decision, if they set a precedence, I think they have a huge, turnaround story to make. And but it is
That's
up
a
to
very
them whether they
interesting
want to
point to
play it or
make.
not.
Is this a turnaround story for the leadership of the Congress party? And Professor Shastri, when we say leadership, are we to understand that the leadership means Rahul Gandhi? This is Rahul Gandhi's moment in the sun to prove himself, or blame it on the high command? Because many would argue that Mallikarjun Kharge is also seen as an interested party. He is the party president, but he's also saying, this will be a discussion that will happen with the high command, or words to that effect. And we've seen many versions of the Siddaramaiah versus DKS fight with no change of guard. Will things be different this time? If a promise has been made, it has to be honored. It's the word of the high command that's at stake here, sir.
Gaurav, I think two important points. I think this is really, as you said, Rahul Gandhi's moment. To really stamp his authority and demonstrate leadership, because it requires taking tough decisions. As we have seen in different cases, it's in the case of Madhya Pradesh, in the case of Rajasthan, in the case of Punjab, there is taking decisions on transitions, especially leadership transitions, is a very difficult choice.
Yes.
And the same thing we are seeing playing out in Karnataka. And I see this as sort of a window of opportunity for Rahul Gandhi to actually stamp his authority. And in previous cases, he's failed to do so. If he takes Rahul Gandhi as a high command, or the Congress high command as a more amalgamation of leaders, this is the chance for the Congress high command. Second point is also, if you go back to 2023, this was sort of an uneasy compromise between Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar, keeping in mind the fact that Karnataka gave the Congress a degree of momentum moving into 2024, something that the party could capitalize on. And that's where the compromise was reached, that potentially behind the scenes is 2.5-year formula. So if that was indeed a compromise, then yes, I think this is the time when DK Shivakumar has sort of,
Okay.
come to ask what was promised to him. So
Yes. So that's a big point. Now, I want to also for a moment understand from all our guests, and before I bring in Tuhin Sinha, I want to understand from all our guests, what should one make of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's victory speech after the Bihar elections, where he used words to the effect that there would be a split in the Congress. There's a section in the Congress that's not very happy with the namdars or what's happening within the Congress. Listen into the Prime Minister, Tuhin Sinha, and I'm coming to you immediately after that. Listen into Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
अब कांग्रेस के भीतर भी एक अलग धड़ा पैदा हो रहा है, जो इस नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स से असहज है। ये जो कांग्रेस के नामदार हैं, ये जिस रास्ते पर कांग्रेस को लेकर चल रहे हैं, इसके प्रति घोर निराशा, घोर नाराजगी अंदर ही अंदर पनप रही है। और मुझे तो आशंका है, हो सकता है कि आगे कांग्रेस का एक और बड़ा विभाजन हो।
मुझे तो आशंका है. There's an apprehension in his mind that the Congress could split in the future. Tuhin Sinha, what should one make of the Prime Minister's statement, and should we look at it now in the context of what's happening in Karnataka?
Well, good evening, Gaurav. Good evening, everybody. Well, what Honorable Prime Minister said 10 days ago, was in the context of, Congress party across India. Because it's a fact that Congress party over the years has towed an extremely left line, which borders on compromising the interests of the country, whether it was in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor or casting aspersions on our institutions. But in Karnataka, if you talk about Karnataka specifically, the issue over here is the brazen greed between two chief ministers, but it's also this ugly slugfest that you're witnessing in Karnataka comes right after 4 successive humiliating defeats of the Congress party, and thereby should be seen as a no confidence motion in the leadership of the Gandhi family, which controls the office of the president. Why I say this? Because, Kharge, who's supposed to sort out the mess, keeps saying that the High Command will be taking the decision, clearly abdicating his responsibility and clearly implying that he is not the head of the Congress party. Number 2, look at the culture of the Congress party. They are in power in 3 states, but, they never get over these internal power battles. We have seen it in the last few years, how they squandered away the mandate in Rajasthan, where Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot were fighting, how they squandered away the mandate in Punjab. We have our governments in 19 states and union territories, either exclusively or as a coalition partner. Have you ever seen BJP leaders fighting like this? Because we are an ideological party. Congress is there only to grab power. But how it impacts governance is also visible in Karnataka. They have presided over fiscal anarchy in Karnataka. In the last 2.5 years, they have embezzled 1,400 crores out of 3,900 crores meant for SC/ST funds. They have presided over another scam in the state Maharishi Development, Valmiki Maharishi Development Fund scam to the tune of 94 crores. The infrastructure of Bangalore is crumbling. Compare it with the infrastructure of Mumbai, where, you see a coastal road which has come up in the last 3 years.
Since you mentioned Mumbai, there is trouble in Maharashtra. There is trouble amongst allies even in Maharashtra, sir. You're well aware of that. How you handle it, it may be different, it may not be different.
That will not impact.
Okay, that remains to be seen, sir.
That will not
that remains to be seen. But Sanjay Jha, Sanjay Jha, there are analysts who argue, and you heard the BJP spokesperson there, Mr. Tuhin Sinha, also argue that the Congress party leadership appears weak after successive defeats, and there appears to be, this appears to be a vote of no confidence in the Congress party leadership. How would you respond to that, sir? And your take on what the Prime Minister said after Bihar?
Well, let me respond to what the Prime Minister said earlier, Gaurav. The first point is that the Prime Minister started 2014 by a clarion call of Congress Mukt Bharat. Now, when that hasn't worked, now he's talking about a Congress split. So wishful thinking. In any case, the BJP has been very hard at trying to pick up MPs and MLAs from the Congress through their Operation Lotus. So in fact, I think the BJP is more Congressified today than it was in its original form. So end of day, I think Mr. Modi is accepting that all the talent deficit of the BJP was made by, Congress defectors who moved over. But on a more
serious
note,
is there a fear there could be more defectors and some from Karnataka?
Well, I can tell you one thing for a fact. I'm not going to deny the fact that the Congress's leadership and all of them in Delhi, whether it's Rahul, whether it's Mr. Kharge, need to be decisive. I'll give you a simple example. Everyone says if Siddaramaiah is removed, well, he's got his loyalists, he's got more support. That is also true. If DK is not made chief minister, well, his supporters won't be happy either. The problem in politics and leadership is that if you're not going to be able to, one, take a decision, and number 2, you got to bring the disaffected people together. It is not about the breaking of heads. It's about the meeting of minds. And you'll have to make it happen because the Congress has a strong majority. As somebody rightly mentioned on your program, the Karnataka victory gave a huge momentum to the Congress at a time when it needed a shot in the arm. And it's a critical state to keep the BJP out of the entire, I would say, the southern base of India. So the bottom line is the Congress cannot dilly-dally. The old P.V. Narasimha Rao line that not taking a decision is also taking a decision has not worked. And in case of Bangalore, even during the time when the Congress won, if you remember, Gaurav, before the swearing-in ceremony of the chief minister, it took time because even then there were questions being raised as to who will become the CM. And I can tell you for a fact that DK would not be able to go public, and he's done it in a civilized way, but he would not be at all belligerent if he was not assured of a chief ministership, whether it was 2.5 or 3, I don't know. But he was definitely assured of the job is crystal
So you
clear.
think he was assured of a job.
Yep,
So now
I'm convinced.
Anurag, okay, you're convinced. Okay, so now Anurag Naidu, it is Rahul Gandhi. If Rahul Gandhi made that commitment, if he made that promise, then it's his word that's at stake. Because in the past, we are told Jyotiraditya Scindia was very cut up. We are also told Sachin Pilot was very cut up. Promises were made, but they were not honored. So is honor something that Rahul Gandhi may have to consider? And when you see the Congress High Command's reactive style of politics, Mallikarjun Kharge says, yes, there will be a meeting. There is some buzz about this November revolution. They're trying to delay it. Not taking a decision is also a decision. So are they looking at consensus because enforcement may not be possible? And that shows the vulnerability of the High Command?
I'm not sure, Gaurav, even if consensus is possible. You need to understand, what is Congress party to do? And I was reading this beautiful article, Bihar election and Prime Minister's statement. It made me think why he has to take a name of a party. And Gaurav, to me, what I understood is this 5-6 key members who I don't want to name, the private advisors to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who appear to be, as many say, running the party, who decided tickets in the Bihar elections. Politicians across India, Gaurav, wants to be associated with the party that wins election, want to be
So are you
working under
referring to what
leadership.
many of late have been calling this Jai Jagat group of the Congress?
Exactly. And that article made me think, and do leaders want to be under the leadership who listens to people who are disconnected from the politics, who are disconnected from the ground, who do not understand, and also not taking decision? Gaurav, this is very important in Karnataka context. Executive and bureaucrats or bureaucracy, when you put them into confusion, and they just stop working. And if you keep this confusion going on, end of the day, the voters or the people and the citizens would suffer. There would be some amount of policy paralysis that you cannot deny. So not taking
Okay.
decision is not in the interest of the voters who have voted you with a thumping majority. And I think keeping
Okay.
at least the voters in mind, you need to take some decision.
Okay, Professor Shastri, the Congress High Command, I'm just taking you back in history a little when Indira Gandhi was at the helm of affairs, or even Rajiv Gandhi was around. Look at the way senior leaders were removed. Mr. Bangarappa, Mr. Patil, Virendra Patil, or Mr. Moily. There were top-down decisions. Why is that top-down decision not possible, or it may be possible in times to come?
Gaurav, one of the major reasons is, one, when you look at Rajiv Gandhi or even Indira Gandhi's time, the central leadership was strong. And the central leadership also held power at the center. Now you're looking at a Congress leadership at the center, which is severely weakened and also excluded from power for almost a decade, more than a decade.
More than a
So
decade, yeah.
that is an important factor in the weakening of the Congress leadership in the center and the High Command. And that then translates into its inability in taking such decisions. So I think the fact that at one level, the indecisiveness of Congress, not just in Karnataka, but in the multiple other cases that we have mentioned in this half an hour program, is a symbol of that weakening leadership at the center. And in Karnataka context, currently, it's very, very difficult to choose between Siddaramaiah and DK because both these leaders bring with them a lot of strengths.
So just give me
it's
30
not
seconds.
going
Can Parmeshwara, who's seen the Home Minister seen as part of the Siddaramaiah camp, can he be a consensus candidate? Because we are told it was initially DK versus Siddaramaiah. Then we were told there's also another versus with Parmeshwara. Where does he fit in? Sanjay Jha, quick 30 seconds on this part.
Gaurav, I can tell you that formula does not work. Go back to Punjab. They made Charan Singh Channi the chief
Yes,
minister,
Charanjit
and
Singh
it
Channi.
bombed. It bombed.
Yeah.
So I can tell you for a fact that that formula doesn't work. In that case, you are actually making two people unhappy. You rather manage one unhappy politician than two. So that Charan Singh Channi model is not going to work. It has to be a very unilateral, decisive call. And as I think both Mr. Naidu and I think Mr. Shastri correctly mentioned, they are both formidable political figures. They got a lot of strengths. So it is a tricky predicament for the Congress. But that's what political leadership was all about. In fact,
That's where the opportunity also lies. That's where the opportunity also lies for the leadership to prove themselves. But Tuhin Sinha, is that where also the opportunity for the BJP, as some analysts argue, just waiting to engineer some kind of a split? Is there an Operation Lotus waiting in the wings?
Well, we are not interested in any. We are not interested in any split, because such is the anger against the present Congress party in Karnataka that if elections were to be held today, we would win with a big majority. But Gaurav, the point is, for all practical purposes, Rahul Gandhi is the head of the Congress party. When he appoints a Krishna Alavaru as the election in charge for Bihar, when he appoints KC Venugopal for Haryana, and when these people mess up over there and Rahul Gandhi disappears for a good 15 days, that is when they completely lose the election. This is what happened in Bihar. So I think, before we even pin the responsibility on Kharge, I think this dissent is against the top leadership, which for all practical leadership, for all practical purposes, is the Gandhi family right now in the Congress.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to quickly respond 30 seconds on the Jai Jagat conversation, Sanjay Jha, that's been happening very extensively of late, and especially after Bihar's defeat? Because I would think for the Congress party to grow in the Hindi heartland, the regional parties, the regional partners would have to weaken. That's the only way Congress can grow in Uttar Pradesh or in Bihar, or, what's wrong with what the Jai Jagat wants?
No, I agree with it. I think the problem is that the Congress has abandoned a lot of these states that it lost in the late 1980s, 1990s. Gujarat for 25 years, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, these states have gone for a long time. And therefore, when you progressively weaken instead of coming back, you're dependent on your regional allies. But yes, I do feel that the Congress has to reactivate the Congress Working Committee. Now, you can have a few people who are, close advisors, but they can't be running the party. The Congress Working Committee is the body that is meant to advise the Congress president on matters that are critical, and this is one of them. You need to have a core team who works with you. I believe the biggest mistake the Congress is making is leaving it to just a few people, to their whims and fancies, to their relationship with one or the other, or some kind of a hearsay or an advice, and taking a decision that will have a long-term and a serious ramification.
In Bihar, one of the political leaders was telling me that to win elections, you don't need laptops and statistics. You need to make eye contact with the voter. He needs to believe you. That's the only way you can win elections. Will we see that happen in future? Well, that remains to be seen, but we'll be tracking that story very closely, because we saw the manner in which Home Minister Amit Shah, he was camping in Purnia. He was going meeting people. He was interacting. Okay, these are live images that are coming in of DK Shivakumar. Okay. In from DK Shivakumar there, but that's a story we'll be tracking very, very closely.